Alright, anyway. In fact, I'm gonna take this out right now.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Get Lifted. 30 is the new 20. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're notified the next time we post or go live. I'm La Hefa.
SmileyJizzle, what's good, y'all? Just trying to get everything. I brought the laptop today so I could be a little bit professional. Try not to have it on the screen so I
And
see
check
my
out the merch.
pretty face.
Get Lifted. It's going to be online soon. If you want to pre-order, you can DM us on Instagram or TikTok. We have some samples, but we're going to be, pretty soon we're going to put it on YouTube and stuff. But this is the hat that I'm wearing with our logo on it.
So, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's a lot of tragedies that happened last week. Tragedies that's been happening this whole month. This has been a very eventful month. Obviously, this is the anniversary of 9/11, right? So when we think about this time, we always think about, you know, the lives that we lost on that day in 2001, and how tragic, how our heart goes out to all the families and the Americans that we lost that day. But really what I want to talk about is, well, a few things before we get into all the really dispiriting things. I was watching Lapeef podcast today, because we always talk about, you know, people from different walks of life. So I was watching a podcast today, and they were talking about a number of things, but one thing stood out was the square versus the thug, right? And they're saying how some of these soft dudes or square dudes or whatever, they don't have the same experiences that some of the thug people have. These thugs, they can fight and they can shoot and all of this. It's really a misconception. Everybody that's in the hood can't fight. Everybody in the hood is not a shooter. Everybody in the hood is not hood, right? So the misconception that we have with a lot of this stuff is, like, a lot of people that come from different walks of life, when we talk about them not having a chance to do certain things, it comes with, and I want people to understand this, it comes with the era that you were raised in and the disadvantages in that particular era. So if we're talking about, let's just go down the line with decades. 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe you can say you have an excuse. 2000s, 2010s, 2020. The progression of the economy, or the progression of the social economic norms in your society, dictate that you had opportunities that you surpassed in those periods of time. So I want to be very clear. A lot of people that are older or whatever, and they're, you know, chastising people that may be a little bit younger, let's understand what age group and what happened in their life. Now, we can't take away some of the experiences that people have had in their life. Some people have went to prison. It could have been avoided because we got choices, right? Some people have sold drugs or whatever. We can't take that away because those are choices, right? Some people have died. We can't take that away because those are choices, right? So we know that people have made poor choices in life, but does that mean that people can't change? We don't want to champion poor choices, but we want to let people know that even though you've had certain disadvantages or challenges, that doesn't mean that you can't overcome those challenges and do better, right? And become a better version of yourself. Now, when we talk about people, fast forward to people now, we got young people that don't have fathers in their households. One of the biggest dynamic with people behaving the way that they're behaving is that they don't have They have emotional displacement. They're angry. They don't know how to deal with emotions. They don't know how to deal with everything. Now, it's not an excuse. It's just the reality of it. People need to figure out what's wrong with them so that they can fix it. A lot of people don't want to take accountability and understand that these are things that's wrong with us so that they can fix those things. So that's one of the big problems. Secondary to that is, again, single parent households. It doesn't matter if you're being raised by a father, it doesn't matter if you're being raised by a mom. However, if you're being raised by one parent, there needs to be structure in the household. So a lot of times there's not that structure in the household that forces these young men to be men when they come of age, that forces these young women to be women when they come of age. They're not learning the tools necessary to be successful in life. Here we go. Now they're 25. Now they're 30. They have never learned these things. So when we say there's no excuse, that's because the people that are saying that there's no excuse, they decided to use the alternative. Maybe they did have somebody that was a good influencer in their life. Maybe they did have somebody that was doing something that was good that they could, doppelgang. They could copy what they were doing and then be like, you know what? I think that's a good approach instead of me going this route. Some people do have that, but some people don't. And some people do know what they should do, but they choose the other situation because it's more attractive. I'm using a Mark Lamont phrase. Maybe it's more attractive to him. So that's something that he wants to go. It's sexy to him. So that's something that he wants to try. I think that the misconception is that you have to go through some of the shit that I went through in order for you to be successful. No. There's more than one way to skin a cat, if you've heard that expression before. You don't have to be a thug or go in the hood and break the law in order to do it. However, there's people that have come out of that, and because of that experience, they know what not to go back to. People that haven't ever had that experience, they don't know until they go through it. I've talked to women before they were a certain age and told them not to do things, and they still did it, and they seen firsthand what would happen if you don't go by the experiences of others. So what they do is they're not glorifying living in the hood or anything like that. They're not telling people to go back to it, but they recognize that the reason that some of these dudes don't have the fortitude to do certain things, they don't have the grit, is because they never had a hard experience in their life. Now, there's some people that are hardworking, that had strict parenting or a strict foundation in their household that pushed them to be successful. When they got suspended, they had punishments. When they came home, they had chores and they did those chores. They had what we call structure, right? That's what I'm talking about. If you didn't have structure, then 9 times out of 10, you fell below the waistline. You went and deviated and went to a different lifestyle. Now, I don't champion people that live in the hood, that do criminal things, but I know that they exist, so I understand why they do. The biggest thing we're going to talk about today is going to be understand, because you're going to hear that word a lot from me today. As long as you understand, then you can entertain a perspective. If you don't understand, or you're not trying to understand because you're too stubborn to recognize that there's either behavioral issues that affect certain things, maybe trauma, or there's a conflict or something that harms someone that affects them into a way to believe whatever they believe. It could be delusion, it could be ignorance, it could be whatever. But you have to understand that these are people just like yourself. You may be more of a logical person. Most women are not the most logical people in my opinion a lot of times. And I'm saying most. I don't know all women. But I know, like, the reason that you let a man lead, or you should let a man lead, is because they're going to go with the most logical solution base. You know what I mean? In terms of, what feels right. What's going to make you feel good. It's not always what's going to make you feel good that's going to work for you. I work out every fucking day. It doesn't feel great. It hurts. But I feel better after. You know what I mean? And that's the discipline. That's what it is. You have to do certain things because you want to become a better version of yourself. And sometimes you need that motivation, you need that push, you need that drive if you don't have it yourself. And again, that's the structure. So when we talk about these young people, that are influenced by everything that's going on around them instead of what's going on inside of their house, that's because there's not a structure in their household to cultivate that mind so that it can bloom into what it needs to be. So I really want to start by saying that. And I don't know, I want your take on it, uninterrupted. Go ahead.
So yeah, I agree that you can learn from other people's experience. You don't always have to go through it yourself. If you listen to the tutelage of people before you or someone else that may have experienced it, it may help. But sometimes, like you said, you may agree with, or you could have told someone something and they already knew. What you told them, they already knew that in their mind, but because it felt good, or because the flesh is weak, or that's what they wanted in the moment, they didn't care about the consequences of how it might turn out afterwards. So they put their hand in the fire even though they knew they was going to get burned. So it depends on when you're going, whether or not you have to experience it or not, or if you can just learn from someone telling it to you, depends on the mindset of the person. So some people, they gotta touch the fire because of how they're wired. They want to touch the fire. It could be for a number of reasons. It could be because of maybe when you had a conversation with this person, you told them that they already experienced certain shit, so where they was too far gone, so that was the norm to them already. So it didn't, unbeknownst to you, they already experienced similar situations or whatever, so they were comfortable doing that. But you didn't have that information, so you thought this was the first time they were experiencing this, and you thought you were, but they already knew what it was, and they was comfortable in that. And it's easy to be comfortable, like when you're in a comfortable situation or a familiar situation, that's what you want to keep doing. But if you want to change, that's harder to do, because you have to change the way you think. You got to change certain things about yourself, and that comes with, you have to have self-awareness in order to do that also. You have to be able to take accountability, and sometimes that's hard for people to do. Sometimes it hurts. Like if somebody tells you something about yourself, and it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, maybe that is true. Maybe I do need to change. So it's easier, even in relationships, like romantic relationships or something. People get in relationships with people because of toxicity or something, because it's easier if that person is toxic and the toxic parts of you, because we all have something, and that's how you bond with that person, like, or whatever. So it's easier to deal with someone that's on the same level of toxicity as you than find somebody that's more healed or has a different mindset, because that's going to force you to look within yourself to change, because they're not going to put up with the same things that the person that's unhealed is going to allow you to do. They're going to tell you, if you want to be with me, this is what you need to do, this is what you got to do, and you know it, because you know that they deserve that, because that's a better person for you. But you may not be ready to take that walk, to you know, so that's where self-awareness comes into play. But I do think sometimes you do have to go, like I said, again, depending on the person, sometimes you do have to go through certain things, and it may make you a better person, because now you can see it from both sides. Like, you went through this, and this, you seen what it looked like, so now you know, I never want to go back, I never want to go through that again. Like, some people, like, I tell people that have children, when they keep, I don't want to say nagging, but they keep telling them the same thing over and over and over again, and then they don't listen, and then they be worried, or they concerned, they're like, I don't want them to do this, or be a bum, or be whatever, like, and then it's like, sometimes you gotta, they said it, or you gotta serve. She was like, if she's making a mistake, you gotta let her make it, so she can learn from it, because she wasn't listening to him. He was trying to tell her, it was her brother, he was trying to tell her something, and she was like, whatever. But actually, in that movie, he was wrong, because the person actually did care. But that's beside the point. She wasn't listening. So his grandmother was like, she's at an age where even if you know, I know you're concerned, I know you care, I know you love her, but if she not listening to you, all you can do is, hopefully the mistake is not too big that you can't recover from it. And that's what we hope. Hopefully you got enough common sense to walk away before the trauma is irreversible. So that's just you know, because in life everybody goes through different obstacles or something, whether it's in your upbringing, whether it's in romantic relationship, whether it's in friendships, you have fallen outs and you go through different things and you carry that with you. And a lot of times people don't talk about it, and it stays there. And then the negative parts of that, not dealing with it, comes out in other ways. You might be angry and you may get triggered because, and triggers never go away either if you went through certain things, but it's about managing those triggers and learning how to react to that. And sometimes that comes with age. And sometimes it comes with experience, sometimes it comes from listening to people around you. But whatever method it is to learn these things, that depends on the person that's being taught.
I agree. So I just wanted to really, jump on that topic because I thought I think that was deep because they had some dudes that claimed they were thugs
In the past, but they said
in the past,
they
pulled up,
learned better.
and I think their message wasn't getting across because it was the dudes that never went down that path, so they didn't even want to hear their testimony. You know what I mean? Like, and then, well, one guy was a little bit more emotional about it. The other guy, he allowed everybody to talk and have their piece. He said what he said. He wasn't as articulate, but he was able to get the point across. He was able to explain some of his points, but then also was able to take direction, which is good because we can learn. Everybody can learn from each other. So you don't want to be so stubborn that you can't even take the time to actually learn from someone else.
You gotta have an open mind. That's the key. That's the key of, like, when you don't have to, and you gotta have discernment, because someone also on the podcast, on the piece that you talk about, somebody was like, you can learn from someone who has an addiction, because they can tell you. He just used that as an example. They might have an addiction to drugs or whatever. I don't know if you said, but they might have that, but because you see them and they're telling you, no, don't do this because you see me all strung out. But typically a person that's to that point, they're not going to say that because they're still in that or whatever. But that's good information, but because of the messenger, people will not take heed to it. But they could also tell you, come on, let's go, give me the needle. Come on, let's go do it, and try to encourage you to do it. So you need to decide, should I go do it or should I listen to them and not? Even though they're doing it, you know that that's wrong. Do you want to be standing in the corner scratching yourself like they are? Like, with nowhere to live, and, you know? So it's a message, like you said, it can come from anybody, but I think people get more hung up on who's delivering the message than the actual content of what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And that's a big issue.
I agree. That happens a lot with a lot of what they call the squares. Because, like, a person that grew up in the hood that's been affected by certain things that happen in the hood can definitely understand how challenging it is, and especially when you come out of it, you definitely understand what a lot of people go through to get to that point. But I won't spend too much time on that. I just really wanted to put that out there. So when it comes to black people, I don't care what walk of life you come from. If you black, I'm with you, but just I'm not gonna hold your hand. I'm gonna let you know that there is always a better way. You know what I mean? You don't have to take the street route. There's other things you can do. You know, and the dude that was from the hood, he said something else. He said he's no different than that girl that she was the OnlyFans model, and then she ended up getting a husband after 10 years or something like that. It's the male version of that. You know, the Pookie that made it out. You know what I mean? It's possible, but you don't want to be a Pookie. Like, I'm not championing people to go out there and throw your life away and throw your freedom away. But just understand that those people are a good testament of what probably not to do, and that, yeah, even though you have some disadvantages, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And I'll land my plane there with that. There was another thing that came up
Wait, let me just say one thing before we end that
About
topic. And that's another thing. Nobody gets. Well, some people are more understanding or whatever, but for the most part, the majority of people is like nobody deserves redemption. Everybody makes mistakes in their life, but then they just write it off. Like they said, the girl that's an OnlyFans model, or not even to that extent. Maybe she was promiscuous in her past. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, she was going out standing on the corner, but she had failed relationships. So you gotta kiss a few toes or whatever. And they have this narrative, oh, like if you gotta, which I don't think nobody's really asking women how many people you've been with. They just assume whatever because of your behavior and stuff and figure it out or whatever. But that's a point of contention because they'll be like, oh, if she's been with a certain amount of people and she had too many experiences, then she's damaged goods. And it's like, what if she turned her whole life around? What if she went to church and now she's not doing none of that stuff and there's reasons behind it? Nobody cares about the reasons, though. Maybe
Nope.
she was married and her husband unalived. So that's why she got 2 kids or whatever. Or maybe she was molested or something as a child and that's why she's promiscuous. A lot of times people, that's not always the case, but in a lot of situations when that happens, that's how women take the power back and make them feel like they're in control because something like that happened to them, and that's what they have to go. Well, that's what they tend to go through to make them feel more comfortable with what happened to them, to make them not feel ashamed that that was taken from them or whatever. So they just do it because like now I'm in control. I chose this as opposed to you taking it from me. And they have to heal from that to come out on the other side to become a wife. And there are women that you would think that they are 304 or whatever because of certain characteristics or whatever, but they're not even like that. They might have one. They might have only been with one person, and then there's women that are like, but they're still a good, like when they get a man, that's who they want, but they're just like a free, if I'm single, this is what I'm gonna do. And it's like, yeah, you need to also, parents need to teach their kids certain stuff. Like you gotta tell them, like, teach them like, oh, you should want to get married or be in a committed relationship before you give it up, because once, especially if you're young and you start becoming intimate with people, it's hard to just, your hormones raise, it's hard to just turn it off and just stop and just be like, I don't want to, you don't want to. If you're dealing with someone, even if y'all not committed, most of the time people are sleeping together. So it's like, and then if you don't, because they tell women to hold it, most of the time guys are not. Some guys might wait, but it might not be the same person because you can't see beyond that.
Because a zebra can't be striped. So
yeah, that's
so I wanted to end it on that note, but because you said that, I have to expound on it a little bit. So no, I'm not telling guys to go out here and accept 304s. I'm not telling guys to go out here and marry OnlyFans models. I'm not telling women to go out here and be with ex-drug dealers. I'm not telling you guys that. I'm not one of those people that advocates for it. I know that people can change. I know that. But I'm not telling you to seek those people that can possibly turn their shit around. If you're doing whatever you're doing, then no. But when you meet a person where you meet them at, then that's different. Now, here's the thing about people. Men and women are judged differently. That's just how society has it, right? And it's for a good reason. Because men are becoming who they're supposed to be for the rest of their life, for their legacy. Women are supposed to be with that person. Now, a woman can be great. She can be whatever. Hell, she can run for president of the United States, right? But when a woman realizes her true purpose in life, she gets to a point and then she's like, damn, I wish I did this. You see it with all the celebrity women who are very successful, that they wish they'd done this, and they gotta adopt children, and they gotta do, they wish they could have had some of their own. But you gotta just think about it like from different perspectives. For people in society is gonna always have things, right? You're always gonna have criminals, you're always gonna have this, you're always gonna have that. You have to choose what part of society that you're going to be. And you don't want to be the part of society that's the least conducive. Whatever your purpose is, it's not going to help you if you're a criminal. Whatever your purpose is, it's not going to help you if you're a 304. You might want to rethink that. So even if you are all of these things and you try to turn things around, it's going to be innately more challenging to do it. So I wouldn't even recommend going down that route. But if you are down that route, I would encourage you to try to change it while you can. But there are some anomalies who get chosen. Not talking about anomalies at all. I'm just talking about just understanding that, yeah, people may have a harder life, but there is another alternative. People from certain eras in life, the way that society is, yes, they had challenges. Now there's really no excuse for the shit. Kissing frogs and shit, that's with the birds. At this point, you can see everything that you're dealing with. All the red flags, everything. You got the internet telling you this, and this. If you want to go with this, and this is what you're probably going to have to deal with, and then you still do it and you end up dealing with it. You can't be a victim. So cut it out. At the end of the day, people do make choices. People are in control. Even the drug dealers that chose to be drug dealers, considering the disadvantages in society, yes, but they still chose to take that life. When we talk about people in society in 2025, I don't want to hear excuses. And moving on to the next point, what we're talking about is being poor a choice, right? I was watching, this came from something that I was watching. I was watching a YouTube video on poor, homeless people. I'm sorry, unhoused is the term that they use. So they got all different politically correct terms for shit, handicapable and all this. So they got this term, unhoused, and versus rich people. So it was interesting. I watched the whole thing. It was very interesting, and it was so interesting that I wanted to add it as one of today's topic. It was about an hour. If you get a chance to watch it, I didn't put it in the description, but it's on Jubilee. Jubilee has like a lot of debates. You'll actually probably see a debate up there about our title individual. I'm not going to talk about it until we're ready to talk about it. But anyways, it's being poor a choice, and there were some people that were unhoused that were felt very disrespected by people considering that it is a choice. First, I want to start by saying, in some circumstances, it's not a choice. We know that. We can look at many different aspects of it. That has a very broad stroke. So yeah, sometimes it's not a choice, unfortunately. Sustaining that lifestyle or staying that way is a choice. If you decide that you would like to stay unhoused, that is a choice. Because at what point do you be like, enough is enough? I need a place to stay. I've collected $3,000 worth of cans over the last year. I need to cash these in and get my stuff together. Get me a $60 suit. You know what I mean? Get me some shoes under $100. And get me an Uber. Set me up an account to get an Uber or something with some of the money that I have, and start going to these job interviews, if that's what you want to do. Get a couple hotel nights so that you have someplace to stay while you're going to get these interviews. Pursue the happiness your ass out there. You know what I mean? Do whatever you got to do to get that bag. Don't be stagnant. Don't be complacent. I give money to homeless people, and not to say that to get a pat on the back or attaboy or whatever. I'm just saying it is what it is. But do I believe that some people chose to be in that situation? Yes. Do I believe that some people ended up in that situation due to trauma? Yes. Do I believe that some of the abuse that happened to them in their life that led them to that trauma is their choice? Absolutely. Absolutely. There was one person that was an addict. He said, I didn't choose to be addicted to drugs. When you go down to it, you did say yes, put that needle in my arm. You gave yourself the choice to say, I'm going to make this decision that I know people have told me will affect me for the rest of my life, but I'm still going to do it. All of the AIDS commercials and all of the heroin commercials and crack commercials that came on in the 90s, if you were born in the 90s and then you got strung out after you saw those commercials, that was a choice, right? Right? That was a choice. Dare, remember Dare? They came to the school, DARE.
They didn't come to
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
I think I
Dare, man, the little drug group. You know what I mean? It came to schools and talked about it. They gave you a little red book with some little doodles on it from kids all around the U.S. talking about, don't do drugs and all this. It was a whole thing. You know what I mean? Smoking a jet. You see what I'm saying? I think about some of the disadvantages that we had in life, hurdles, stepping stones, whatever you want to call them. The group at one point in time that felt the brunt of this was my culture, African Americans. At one point, we were the victim. Let's not play. You know what I mean? In this country, at one point, we definitely were the victim. So we could own a victim mindset. Now, certain cases, it's on you. Now we talking about people that came back from Vietnam and they were strung out and all of that, and they ended up homeless, and most of the veterans are people, which is terrible. Most of the people that fought and served for this country are the people that's on Skid Row and all this. This is what they were saying in the debate, and I'm like, it's so sad. They want us to serve this country, but they don't want to take care of us. There's a lot of information out there that we don't know. There's a lot of benefits that veterans have that we don't know about. And I'll do everything that I can to encourage people to get those benefits. If you look in the description, I got mad game that I'm kicking everybody. I got mad opportunities to get a little bit of money in your pocket. It's a little, but anything helps. You know what I mean? So I be thinking about how I'm gonna get myself together, and I don't just think about it. When I think about it, if it's a decent idea, then I act on it. I feel like everybody can do that. I'm not the only one that could get out here and get it. You know what I mean? So I understand how important it is for you to, not succumb to the naysayers, to the disadvantages, the fear, to fight past that and keep going despite the disadvantages and the shortcomings, because life's just not fair. And especially, I think the game is definitely rigged for our culture. You know what I mean? It's been set up in a way where we can't win, but some of us do it. And then when it happens, we say, yo, all of us can do it, but then they don't give you the game plan of how to do it. Only a few of them give you the game plan of how to do it. The people before you don't show you how to do it, because most of those people are self-made. They're not learning it from the people before them. They're learning it because they decided to fight past the disadvantages and discouragement. So then when I hear people that aren't from our culture saying, we got the same, there is no privileges, and we got the same as you or whatever, I would say we don't have the same, but I know that you have some disadvantages as well, and you were able to surpass those disadvantages. The problem is we have more disadvantages. So because we have more disadvantages, it makes it a little bit harder for us, for our group. So our struggle, we have a struggle. We both have struggles, but our struggle is different. You guys have the backing of your culture. You know what I mean? Our culture purposely is separated. You know what I mean? And it divides us. It divides us on a level that shouldn't even divide us. Like, how are brown people divided by politics. The politics barely help us. You know, the politics barely help us. For the stuff that we really need, it doesn't really help us. We vote for this to happen, and they do what they want, and they do it for who they want to do it for. But it's never for us. You don't notice that. It only happens if we've decided to play the game their way. But we're not really playing it exactly the way that they play it, because they include their families, they include other people in their communities, they include their people that they fuck with. But we don't really do the same the way that they do it. And that's the problem. We don't have a voice because we don't have enough people together to build that voice. And the people that we have that are for us, their voice is not really with us the way that we want it to be. You got a few people out here that you know that are doing it. I do listen to some of them, but it's gotta be more of us. We gotta be like minded. It's crazy that we don't have all of us on the same accord. We're so separate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the greatest divide. So that's why I believe it's a choice, because none of us should be forced. There's so many of us that can help each other to edge that gap. But go ahead.
Yeah, so real quick, I just want to say, I agree with you said about the last topic, but what I was just trying to make it that some people do deserve redemption. You don't have to deal with someone if they've done things in the past that you don't agree with. Nobody's forcing you. But I'm just saying, sometimes a person can really change, and sometimes you shouldn't hold that over their head. And if you like someone, whether in a romantic sense, and they're exuding that they're a good person, and you know that they've done things in their past, it's okay to, if they change. Like, that's what I'm saying. But whether you choose to do it or not, that's totally up to you. But just recognize that people make mistakes. If you weren't taught certain things, like you didn't see those examples in your household or whatever, at some point it's your accountability to learn that stuff, but you make mistakes because you didn't know. Just like the people who raised you may have not known. So that's all I'm saying. Be mindful of that. Don't just shut the door if you want to open it without even taking a chance sometimes. But about the poor argument, I don't know. I think it can be a choice. I think depends on who you ask, who the person is. Some people are just lazy and they don't want to work, and because of the opportunities that have been afforded with the government, you can get Section 8, you can get food stamps, and that's no shade to the people that collect that some people need it. But I believe that it should be a stepping stone. I think that you should want to be able to provide for your own self without getting assistance from the government. I feel like the government is in our business too much. So for me personally, I don't want to deal with that. Like, if I got on hard times and I need to, but I'm able to work and make enough so that I can, take care of myself and at least have the basic necessity of life or whatever, a roof over my head and food in my stomach, clothes and things like that. I'm able to pay all my bills legally, and I don't need, I don't even qualify for that. But I think people should look at it. I think where it comes is where it's not a choice is that was put into place to keep us there. Especially brown people of color, people in the black community. They created all of this government assistance, food stamps, cash assistance, even child support and things like that. You think child support only goes to it only paid to the parent? The custodial parent, no, the government gets a portion of that money too. It's not when you get a divorce, the government gets some of that money too. Why I gotta pay to get a divorce for someone? Now, I'm not condoning divorce. I think if it can be worked out, you should try. But I'm saying that shouldn't even be involved. If this is a love between me and you, and this is something that we didn't need you to meet each other and get together, why I gotta pay you to get to profess my love to you? Why I can't just have a ceremony? I gotta sign a paper and you in my business.
That's
And
fact.
you know they used to do blood tests back in the day, and I don't know the reasoning behind it, but my mom told me this. Back in the day, before you got married, they would make both people take a blood test. And I'm like, what do you need? Like, I might be a bit of a conspiracy theorist, and I might take it away a second, but I'm gonna bring it right back. Like, I just feel like I don't know what you doing with that, what you need my blood for. That don't even make sense. But again, I don't know the reason behind it. And I don't think they don't do it anymore because I actually looked it up after she said that. So that has changed. They don't require that anymore. But I just think that's crazy. So, but they put these systems in place so they could keep you there.
Was
you got
this
Section 8,
in a particular state, or was this like nationwide?
well, mom said it, so I don't know if it was just Connecticut, but no, when I looked it up, it was multiple. It's never all 50 states, but it was more than just Connecticut because mom said when they got married, they had to do that. But then I looked it up and you said that there were other states. I don't remember what the other states were, but it's no longer. There may be a couple that may still do it, but I think for the most part they stopped doing that. Like, this is a while ago when she told me that, but I just thought that was crazy. But the point I'm trying to make is why it's not a choice. Bringing it back is that because they put these in place to keep you there, food stamps, Section 8 orders, you can't make over a certain amount. And as soon as you go over that certain amount, now we're going to increase it. Now you got to pay this amount. Now you got to pay this amount. Then next thing you know, you're going to be off. And you still might barely be making enough to, like, you might
that
be making
means you
just.
gotta work harder.
No, I know, but I'm just saying the point of what I'm making. You might, that might be just enough to pay all your bills, but now you don't have no money left to do nothing. You can't enjoy life. You've been working on hard, and all you could do is pay your bills. Yeah, you need to work harder, but a lot of people get discouraged because they recognize that and they're like, I don't want to lose this, I need this. So they'll purposely not work as much or not work at all because they don't want to get that assistance.
Because you said purposely.
That is a choice, but I'm speaking to the people that believe in yourself, believe that you could be more than that, that you could get to a point. But if you don't want that, then that's where the separatists come from. Because if someone like me is saying, I'm not putting people down to get it. I had food stamps before or whatever, but I no longer qualify for them or whatever. And I know people, like, I'm not saying that it's bad because that's how people look at it when you bring it up and you be like, I don't want that or I don't want this because I just want to pay for I don't want to owe nobody nothing. I don't want you telling me. They take your money. If you got Section 8 and you work at a job, this is why I really, you know, even if like I would do everything I can, like you said, I got to work harder if I came to a position where I would try to get that or be in need of that. If you work somewhere and you don't report it within a certain amount of time, like if you get a new job or whatever, like maybe you got a second job and you don't report it, they say that you owe them. Now you owe them money. They will send you a bill and be like, oh, you started working at this job 3 months ago, Section 8, I'm talking about housing, like, and now you owe us $3,000 because you never reported it. And you probably only worked there for 3 months. It was a temporary position, just like seasonal or something, like for the holidays. But you still had a full-time job but it was over. So now you ask me for $3,000 from a job that I don't even have. So some people feel like they get so broken down, and that's what they're trying to do to us. Don't let them do that to us because they want you to be discouraged. They want you to give up. They want you to be like, no, I need this. I'm just going to stay at home. I'm going to just work when I need to just to have a little pocket change or whatever. Or if it's my birthday coming up or some other event and I want to do that, then I'm going to go all out and I'm going to break my back doing all this. But then after that is over, then I'm barely going to. No, don't let them win. You're letting them win. They want you to give up. They want you to need them. Because if we don't need, we're in a system of white supremacy. If we don't need them, we could take over. We could be in control. We could be the supreme. Like, and whether you want to recognize it or not, they are. Everything, not even just black people. We're all the other colors are under a system of white supremacy. The country is run by white people. In every position, every large company, billion-dollar company or whatever, the person at the top, in most cases, is a white person. And then yes, in some jobs there are black people, but usually the person they have somebody above them, even if they're all the way at the top. They're if he's the CFO, then the other person is the CEO or something, and they're white. Or you got to answer to somebody. We don't have there's a small percentage of us that were able to become successful without being. But at the end of the day, who you paying taxes to? Tax coming out of your check. And then that's another thing about why we need to stop accepting it and try to do better and get more, because we're people that are working hard. Some people don't work, and if it's something wrong with you where you physically can't, then that's different. But people that you can work and they taking money out of our taxes to provide for you, and you still gotta have some income, because now the laws are changing. I don't think you could just pay nothing. You gotta pay something, or you gotta give them an ample reason as to why you can't pay a portion of it. Not just people be joking and be like, "Oh, well, I want to pay $5 too." No, it don't work like that. Nobody, I doubt anybody, at least in Connecticut, they're not paying no $5 if they want assistance. They gotta pay something or whatever. And if it can't work at all, you need a good reason why. Now, and I feel like that's gonna push the people that need to do it, because we gotta do it and we gotta be on one accord. You can't have that separatist attitude. I don't think I'm better than nobody, but I want to do better. I want to be successful. I want to go out and see the world, and I could go on trips and do stuff right now. I got a couple of dollars or whatever, but I'm not happy with financially with the place that I'm at in life. So I gave myself a plan or whatever. I made a business plan. I'm working on some things, and I got like a time frame that I want to accomplish this stuff. And then once I get everything settled that I want to accomplish or whatever, then I could do that. I feel free, because I don't got to worry about, like I just said, now you got to come home and you got to bust your ass because I don't do, and that's another thing people do. They'll pay for a trip, and then you took your money from that you need to pay, that you need your necessities for. And that's why you gotta come back and bust your ass, because now your light bill done went up because you fucking took $500 or whatever. No, you should have saved that money and put it to the side and plan for that trip. If you couldn't just, but if you got the money to just play it all at once, and it's not gonna hurt you. If you're gonna make a big purchase that you don't necessarily need, that's just gonna excite you and bring happiness or whatever, it's just an experience, and you could do without it at least for the moment, then you need to make sure you got double of what that costs for your everyday life. In my opinion, that's something that I try to follow or whatever. If you want to do that, like, yeah, you deserve. You be working hard. I get it. You want to let your hair down. You want to get your lashes and your nails. I don't wear lashes and stuff, but I'm saying I know women like to do that. Like to get your hair done or whatever and stuff like that. Those things can be expensive, but I'm like a simple girl. Like, I got a wig on right now, but I don't care, whatever. But I do have hair. I'm not bald, because that's what people think when we have a wig. But anyway, it's just I'm on my natural hair care journey. I'm trying to see something with my hair, trying to see how long I could get it to be. So this is like a protective style. So I'm just gonna do the normal stuff, wash and condition it, and then put it in a ponytail and put this on if I go out, just so I don't put too much tension or that flat iron or that for the excess breakage, gel, all that stuff. I'm trying to heal my hair or whatever. But what I'm saying is, it's okay to do those things, but maybe sometimes do your nails yourself. Like, learn how to do that. Or if you learn how to do your own hair, if you know somebody that does hair or something. Because there are other ways that you can do things that can still give you the satisfaction, like where you don't have to spend as much money, or you don't have to go, even groceries. Like, yeah, groceries are expensive, and I'm a person that quality, like, of the food I eat, like, I'm greedy. Like, I'm greedy or whatever. So I like stuff to taste good. There are certain products that I need a certain brand when I talk about food specifically right now, because like it tastes right. So I'll spend a couple extra dollars. But I've also learned I do try to find deals and bargains. So like certain type of tissue that I like, because cheaper tissue, it rubs off when you're using it or whatever, you go to the bathroom. So I like Scott brand because it doesn't do that. It's a little more durable, but it's not too hard to where it hurts you because some tissue be hard too, like, or whatever. So like, but wait, I'm just gonna say, but I learned, okay, I found a cheaper brand that's just as close as they compared this guy or whatever. So now I get that. It's $3 cheaper. It saves me some money and it still has the quality that I like. Burt's brands of ketchup and mayonnaise, I think, is at all these. I like Heinz and I like Hellman's. By the way, stop using Hellman's mayonnaise. It got some chemical in it, I forgot. But it's causing cancer and it's labeled on the back of the jar. Get QP mayo. It doesn't have that in it. Okay, but yeah. I find a cheaper brand. It still tastes the same, but it's cheaper. So I'm not spending as much money. It's half the price of what I would pay for the other brand. So there, you could still look good. You could still eat what you want to do. You could still go on a trip, or maybe go to New York. Go a couple hours away from where you live instead of going out of the country if you don't really got it right now. Like, you could probably do it, but is it gonna hurt you afterward is what you need to think about or whatever. So that's all I'm saying. There's workarounds, you know, there's things that you can do. You want to enjoy your life, but if you have a goal, and you should try to set a goal, and that's the thing, people don't have a destination or where they're going, and like they're just working because they're like, I gotta work, I gotta pay bills. They don't have no end result or no expectation other than I'm just gonna pay bills and I'm just gonna live and I'm just gonna. But when you create a goal, then it makes things a little easier, because now you're like, I gotta accomplish this goal, and then I could do all that. Then I don't gotta worry about robbing Peter to pay Paul, because I got the foundation set up. And that's where people are lacking. People want to buy Jordan and stuff like that. And again, I'm not putting nobody down. I like nice stuff, and I could get it, but I don't really buy stuff like that. I ain't even gonna lie, I got some sneakers from Temu. I could get some Jordans. I got some Vans. I mean, Vans are cheaper, but they're still stylish. I like Vans or whatever. But I don't go nowhere. But yeah, I have bought stuff. Like, this wig was a little expensive, but they got $400 wigs. I'm not paying for no fucking $400 wig. This was $100 something, which is still a lot. But I don't do this. I don't do that all the time. It's just a treat. Like, if you want to do, you know, here and there, you want to do stuff for yourself, that's cool. But you gotta be responsible. People be living check to check, and they be making over $300,000 a year because you're living beyond your means. If you just got an increase or just got a raise, why are you buying a house that's triple what you make in a year? You're going to be paying that shit off for the rest of your life. You should have prepared for it. You could have did that, but you should have prepared for it. You should have saved up some money, took out a loan, and made a plan to do that. So like, okay, I'm going to pay it off in 5 years. You could get it, but don't just jump and take that chance as soon as you ain't even get that money yet. Like, come on. Like, we gotta be, and I know some people don't know, but that's what I'm saying is, and I'm not rich or whatever, but I'm trying to be more successful than what I am. I don't think I'm poor. I mean, I'm doing better than some people. I got a roof over my head, but I want to be better for me, and I want the people around me and the people that may be listening that's not where they want to be. I don't want to make you do something that you don't want to do, but if you're not where you want to be, create a goal. It don't have to be a whole plan right away. You could do one step. Okay, tomorrow, if you fat or you out of shape, tomorrow I'm going to do 10 crunches and I'm going to run for 20 minutes or whatever. And then the next day you increase it. Today, I'm gonna do a meal plan because so I could have food for the week, and I want to save money, so I'm not about to order Uber Eats. Make a meal plan, do meal prep for the week, so you could save some money on ordering out, and you make it stretch so you could save money to provide for your future or whatever that goal is. Like, that's what I'm saying. Just be more responsible. Like, we got these kids growing up in the world. They need better leaders. We need to teach them to be better leaders and be more responsible with their money. Be more responsible with the things you do. More responsible with the people that you hang out with, and realize if this person is here to do me harm, or do they have my best interest? Like, that comes with relationships, finances, your emotional stability, all that stuff. This is things that we need to work on as a race of people. And then when people get mad when they be like, oh, angry black woman or whatever, are you acting like that? Ask yourself. If somebody next time somebody tell you something about yourself that you deem as an insult, but they ain't really say like, oh, nothing crazy. It's some, like, think about it. Like, if they be like, if they call you an angry black woman or something, and think about why did they say that? Did you do something in that moment that's making them call you that, or they just think all black women are like that? So look at yourself first before you go on the defense mode and start going off on it, because that's what they talk about. Listen to understand, not just to respond. So it, we need to have self-awareness, and that's the key to a lot of things that will help start to change a lot of things in our community. Because I want to see us do good. I want the Black Wall Street to be up. I want so much more. I want us to be running this country. Like, I want black representation, but I want a good black leader. I don't just want them because they're black. I want them to actually have our best interests and their policy that makes sense with what we need to make our lives better as a community. But I'll end there. I know I said a lot.
I just want to add one thing. I think the strongest component, knowing that our culture in specific, because it took us so long to be able to get something. It's like Jay-Z said. I always quote Jay-Z until they find out some shit about him, man. That's my guy. So Jay-Z, he said, he said,
hopefully you said just like I told you that.
No. He said, I'm used to not having a lot. I'm from the gutter. I ain't the type to ever chase the block. I'm the type to interior decorate the watch. But that's because he's used to not having a lot. You know what I mean? When they get to that point and you finally come up, then you start to go crazy. And I'm saying the only thing, because when people spend their money, because the problem is when people are poor, we consider poor being a choice. The only reason that people are is because when they do have the money, well, not the only reason, but I'm saying for the people that become that already have whatever, when they do have the money, they don't know how to budget their money in certain ways to allocate their funds properly. Like, you can still do things that you like to do, but you gotta know how much revenue you have. You have to know how much net you have altogether, how much you liquidated. You gotta know everything that you got going on with all of your money.
Yeah, and then calculate your cost of your necessities.
Hold on. I'm about to get all that. The whole point of having a budget is so that you can still do the things that you want to do and still continue to have your goal. Because you can go to Hawaii and Tahiti and Japan and Germany, even if you work in a 9 to 5. Because guess what? You're working a 9 to 5. We need workers. There's people that's gonna work. There's people that got good work ethic. There's people that deserve a fucking vacation, that get the vacation and don't take it. You know what I mean? Those people, that's what they do. They live that place. They want to work. Let them have their vacations, right? There's a way that they can have a vacation and still have a nest egg. But you have to budget. People don't take the risk, the best risk of risking for financial freedom. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen, but take the time to learn how to make those risks. Who you need to talk to, your bank, that gets your money all the time and they move it around. Ask them about a CD. Ask them about a 401k. Ask them about money markets. Ask them about any type of investment that you could possibly do that could make more money while your money's just sitting there. You don't want your money just sitting there not gaining any interest because it's not doing you any good. If you want to know about making more money and living a more comfortable life, you have to understand how a budget works. There's things that you want to do. You want the cakes and you want the Skittles and you want to have the Roof Chris every once in a while. You can, but you need to have a budget committed to certain interests. This is what I have. This is what I need. What you want is you don't want your disposable income to be anything more than 10% of all your income. Because if you're not rich, that 10% is like everything. If you're rich, that 10% is just a fraction. But when you're not rich, it's going to be harder. Now, it's already hard for us, but we don't try to go to school. You know what I mean? That's where that disposable income breakdown comes in. Because the money that you have left over is the money that you accrue and you separate. because there's gonna be grocery and shit like that or whatever that you're going to spend. I wouldn't consider that disposable income. I would consider budgeting that to a certain amount where you discipline yourself to not go over that. Don't get more than you need, or don't get anything less than what you're gonna need, and always get what you know you're gonna need an abundance of more first, and you include that in your budget. But a lot of people don't have an accountant in their life. A lot of people don't take the time to do these things. But there's apps and shit that you can use now. That's why I said 2025 is no excuse. If you are whatever you are, and it's not as a result of some trauma or some affliction that was caused involuntarily, you have a choice. And you have a lot of different advantages in life that you can take advantage of now. But if you're colored, there are some disadvantages that you're probably going to have in life as well. But everybody has disadvantages, and you're still going to have to go past those things, because there's a possibility or even a probability that you can go past those things, because people do it a lot. There's a lot of successful people to a 6-figure degree or a 7-figure degree. There's successful people of color. They've gone different realms. It's not just athletes or musicians or artists or movie stars, anything like that. Some of these are scientists. Some of these are very brilliant minds in society, respected minds in society. But they've decided where they feel they're best needed, their purpose. And it's not always monetary, but when you think about, if you're comfortable just being a worker, then be comfortable being a worker, but don't complain about being poor. Because there's opportunities that people aren't taking advantage of. And I have a problem with people just saying, well, yeah, there's a way to do it, but it's just you don't want to do it. So if you don't want to do it, there's ways to manage your money and still make money, even when you're poor. Poor become rich all the time.
Yeah, there's definitely ways, like you say, you could go on a trip, and I'm not saying that, but if you're working, yeah, we need those workers, but maybe don't go on out of the country 5 times in a year, because yeah, you might have the money to do it, but if you work in a regular job and you just didn't plan for that and save up for it, and you're making like $40,000 a year or something, that's not responsible, because you're gonna be lacking on something if you didn't. That's why I say, yeah, you can do it, but maybe go to Hawaii this time, save up for that, and then maybe go somewhere you could drive the next time if you want to go out again, and maybe go like twice until you get to a point to where that. Well, this is just my opinion. You have yours, but I'm saying this is my opinion. Because that's the reason why.
But mine is the solution.
Because that's the reason why people are not. Well, most people are complacent anyway. They're happy with being at where they are.
And they still complain about not being able to go on a vacation. Budget, bro.
But that's
you spending $1,000 a month on shit that you shouldn't be spending $1,000 a month, and you want to go to Jamaica in fucking December. Why the fuck you can't spend $1,000 to go to Jamaica in December? Stop spending $1,000 on the bullshit for a month at least. Now you got $1,000 for Jamaica. You're gonna spend it on bullshit anyway, and you're complacent. So you can still do the things that you want to do, but don't complain about it. If you want to do it, there's a choice. But if you don't want to do it, here's a solution. Because people want to be happy. People don't want to be mass deleters. People want to be out here and try to enjoy however many years, 78 years or 82 years, however our life expectancy is. They want to enjoy as much of it as they can, as fulfilled as they can. Probably have kids, make those kids, help those kids make better decisions in life, maybe better decisions than they made in life. But you have to, if you really want a fruitful legacy, you have to work as hard as you can now, harder than just, okay, I'm not going to go. All right, what are you doing with that money that you're not spending on that? If you're gonna be trying to have a legacy or a future or a generational wealth or something, but it's not. It's. But I'm saying it's not. It may be ideal.
You're saying your opinion,
right? That's what I'm saying. It may be ideal for you, right? But what I'm saying is that to tell. Okay, so this is what I like. That right? That's how it is. That's how it is. But what you're saying is still. Okay, you don't need to go to these vacations all the time like this. You don't need to do that. But I'm saying there's a workaround because these people are already set. Some of these people are like 50, 60, and they're not trying to be like you right now at 36
And that's
years
why
old.
I say if you don't want to do that, then you could do what you want. But if you have a goal and you're not just happy where you are, I'm telling you the ways that can help you get there quicker. Give yourself a time frame to get into that position, whatever that position is that you want to be in, and then budget your money. How much did it cost for groceries a month? Take how much do you make or whatever. Take all of the necessities out first that you need: your rent, your utilities, food. You don't need to buy no more clothes because if you in your 30s or more, you don't got. Or I mean, you can still do it. I'm not saying don't ever do it, but I'm saying while you're saving up to try to get to that position, if you want, that I'm speaking to the people that if you want, this is the way to do it. Like take out all of the necessities and how much you make, allocate the funds towards that first, and then see what you got left. And then you could say, okay, I'm not extra after I pay my bills and necessities. I'm only spending $200 more if you got that, and then the rest of this I'm keeping, and I'm gonna put it in the pot so I can go to Germany or go to Barcelona or something like that. And then at the end of the month or after 2 months or whatever, like then you could have enough to get your tour. You don't have to pay for the whole thing at once. You could one month you save to pay for the ticket because the trip ain't gonna be till a few months away. You don't have to go tomorrow because you gotta take off work anyway. So you can't just leave. I mean, you can if you got time, but let's assume the most you got is like you could take a week off at the moment. You're not about to have like a whole month unless you go to work every day. And let's be real, most people don't. Some people save their time, especially if you're in a higher position. But even supervisor stuff be calling out just as bad as the entry level employees or whatever. So, or maybe not call out, but it'd be missing mad days of work, whether it's planned or not or whatever. So, take care of all that, and then you could like, okay, I'll pay for the flight, and then next time I pay for the hotel, I'm gonna pay for the Airbnb. So pay for all that before you even go, and then the trip is still months away. Then now, if you want to buy some outfits, you want to get your hair done, do that closer. Like maybe get your hair done the day before your flight leaves or something. So you wait until you save up for that and put that to the side. Like I said, hair be expensive if you're a woman. Some women spend thousands of dollars on their hair. I wouldn't do it because that's crazy or whatever. But if that's what you want to do, be smart about it. If you have goals, and if you're just complacent and you're fine where you want to be, but most people are not. That's what I'm saying. Because like you said, they complain about it. I don't. I'm trying to get to a better point, so I'm taking certain steps to do that. But there are a lot of people that complain about it, which means that implies that you're not happy because you're complaining about it. So if you're not happy and you're mad, you got to get up and work. Or you're mad, maybe you don't say it, but you cussing everybody out because you're stressed out because you don't want to go to. All right, so change it then. Don't just be, if you're not happy, you may not be expressing it, but you're not. You want more. You want to be in a position where you can be comfortable. And no matter how old you are, if you want it, it's possible. You just got to know that it's possible, and you got to take the steps to get there. Like you said, you could call your bank and have, in most bank accounts, if you got a mobile app, they will allocate, like if you're paying your bills electronically, your bank will do that for you. Like it'll tell you spent 20% of your income from it, or it'll give you a dollar amount. Like $500 of your income went towards utilities, and this amount went towards rent for this month, and this amount went to food, and this amount went to, like, it could break it down for you. You don't even got to do that yourself. Like, it's most banking apps have that built into it or whatever, and it automatically you could turn it, I think it's a setting where you could turn it on or off, but like speak to the bank and ask them questions about like different things that you can like you said, build your money, but that would be for the future. You wouldn't be doing that normally just to go on a trip. But if you have other goals like further down, like for the betterment of your life, then that's a good thing. Put your money into an account that it adds interest over time or whatever, and it's not just sitting there, just you're not doing nothing. So those are good tools to do to get you to the point you want to be, if you want to be. But I just feel like people get mad when they be like, oh, we're lazy or we're this or that. They get offended, but then some people are. So how you getting mad? Not everybody not, but it is in a way, if you want to do something else and you're not trying to do it and you could just complain about it and you get mad when people speak on it, you're a hit dog will holler. So if you don't want to be labeled as that, and if you don't think you are, and you're not happy with your life, then try to do something about it. If you try and you don't succeed or whatever, then that's one thing. But the only shots that you don't make are the ones that you never shoot. If that makes sense.
I agree. So, there was a follow-up question with this poor choice. It is, do you believe that wealthy people have an obligation to house the unhoused?
This was interesting because I was watching College Hill Celebrity Edition and Carlos Miller, but you know, and they go to real class. I forgot what the course is, but they get a real like honorary, but it's like just a 3-month program or something. I don't know, it's a couple months or something, and they get a real diploma or whatever, and they have to go to actual college classes. So they were going to Xavier in New Orleans, and one of the class was political science, and the what do you call it? The assignment was to create a bill that, and then you're gonna present this to a Congress person. Create a bill that's going to help lower the rate of homelessness or remove homelessness altogether. And Carlos Miller was like, that's not our responsibility. If people cared about it, like they were all upset with him because some people had personal experience with it, or maybe family members or something like that, and no one agreed with what he was saying. But he kind of okay, I'm gonna try to sum it up. So he was just like, that's not our responsibility. If people cared about it that are in positions of power, they could change it, you know. And what he was saying, some of it I agree with. Like they could, all the money they take out for taxes, you could take that money, or these billion-dollar companies or whatever, they could, with the amount of money they make in a month, they could remove homelessness if they wanted to. Like, so he's saying the people in position don't care, and they're the ones that's responsible for it. We're not the president. We're not. He didn't say those words, but that's basically what he's saying. So why should that be on us? And then he was saying that some people don't want to do stuff, and that's why they're in that position. He said that was a choice. That's what he said. But then they went to like a homeless shelter that they had in New Orleans, but it wasn't like a normal shelter. It was like a nice, like they had different rooms and stuff for each, and it was really nice, and it would help people get on their feet that was experiencing that. And there was young people there like in their 20s and stuff, so when they went, that was a part of their assignment. They went on a field trip there to like learn more about or whatever, and he actually felt differently, you know, it tugged on his heartstrings a little bit. He actually connected a guy there. He was like 23. He used to drive to work, but he had to drive far, like, but he used his own car, but every day he had to drive for work. That was his job, or drive far to get to work, or go out of state to do something or whatever. He needed his car. He got in a car accident and his car got totaled or whatever, and he ended up becoming homeless because he wasn't able to get a job fast enough. And I don't know how long it went on. It wasn't like, he was still young, so when it happened, it wasn't like 10 years ago, you know what I'm saying? And he was still currently, it had been maybe a year or a few months into this situation. He wasn't able to get a job fast enough, so he ended up losing his apartment, and then that's why he was there. And I think he said he was there at that place for like 5 months. So this was like a recent incident. He was like 23. So Carlos felt bad. He hooked him up with some of his people, one of his connections, to do something that he was interested in. I can't remember exactly, but he felt bad and he felt differently because at first he didn't even want to create the bill because he's like, this is stupid. But it's a collaborative effort. If he don't participate, then the other people will fail too because they gotta do it together. You had a partner or whatever. So he that's crazy that you talked about it, but it was also, I liked how he really felt bad. Like, he not like a emotional type of, like he said that I don't got no emotion or whatever before this happened. Like, he didn't cry or nothing. Other people were crying And because it was sad to see they're so young and you're homeless, and they wasn't on drugs, because that's the thing too. People automatically assume if you're homeless that you're on drugs. I mean, some people you could tell that they high if you look at them, they scratching and they look. You can't just be homeless. You're doing something or whatever. But people automatically assume that, and these people actually went. That was something that was out of his control. He got in a car accident. And then that was how he was getting back and forth to work or being able to work with his car. So, and cars are not cheap if you want something, especially if you're going to be driving far. You need something that's decent enough. It don't got to be a Ferrari, but you need something that's going to get you where you need to go. So he probably needed some time to get something decent or on the level of what he had so he could continue. He wasn't able to do it fast enough because he wasn't expecting, this to happen. But I think also we should try, if you can, or be mindful, plan for these type of things when you're working, because accidents happen, emergencies happen. Somebody could have cancer or something, and then the medical bills will go up. And even if you have insurance, it may not cover everything. You'll still have to pay maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. I work for a medical insurance company. These hospital bills are crazy. For having a kid. Just the bill for that, just delivery. So like certain things, well, that's something you chose, pregnancy, but I'm talking about something that's out of your control. Put in an account, like people say, a rainy day fund. You could if you put $5 in it, because you never know. You might lose your livelihood because maybe your job, you were physical, you worked in a warehouse, and then you get an accident, and now you can't walk for 5 months, or you can't work to the level of what you gotta lift stuff, your arm all fucked up or whatever, like you can't, and you gotta heal, you gotta go to physical therapy, so you should try to save money to plan for those type of things just in case, because you never know, if you can, and you don't have to, but I'm saying it's a suggestion, because those are things that I think people don't think about when they're going through life, because again, if that wasn't something that was prevented for them, or not something they seen growing up or whatever, they probably think it doesn't matter. But it may stop you from ending up in these certain situations. You got money put to the side. Okay, I got 3 months of money saved up so I could pay my bills until I'm able to start working again or whatever. Like, at least for that. Fuck all the other stuff, because if I'm not working, I don't need to be going out clubbing and going on trips or whatever. You need to get yourself back right so you got money coming in. And then, so, you know what I'm saying? But it was good to see that Carlos had a heart in the end. And he felt, because, like, that's what I'm just saying is a misconception. People automatically assume homeless people, they chose to be there. And it's not always that simple, especially with rent prices now. And they can evict you with no cause. That is a thing. And they only got to give you like 30 days or whatever if they want. They don't have to have no real reason, like, or whatever. You could be paying, people do messed up stuff or whatever. So you gotta prepare for those type of things. Have a security blanket is just a suggestion, and I'm trying to be what I'm saying too. I'm not just saying it like I want to make changes in my life, so I'm trying
be
to
the change.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that 25 passengers. That was kind of crazy. 25 passengers were hospitalized after Delta flight was hit by violent turbulence, causing plane to drop in midair. What happened?
The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating this incident, which involved passengers being thrown around the cabin. The aircraft was diverted to Minneapolis for the passengers' immediate needs as severe weather conditions were present. Delta Flight 56 was en route to Salt Lake City and Amsterdam when it encountered the turbulence. The turbulence occurred over southern Wyoming. It was likely due to thunderstorms in the area. And the turbulence was, the plane was diverted to Minneapolis. I said that already. The incident highlights the importance of keeping seatbelts fastened even at cruising altitude to protect against unexpected clear air turbulence. Here's a clip.
Were injured, or if everybody was put up at a hotel overnight. Delta says its care team is now working directly with customers to support their needs. Now, while air travel is still the safest form of transportation, turbulence is actually by far the leading cause of non-fatal injuries, accounting for more than a third of all commercial accidents. Now, while many injuries can range from bumps and bruises to broken bones, hundreds have actually been seriously injured, which the FAA defines as any injuries that requires hospitalization for 48 hours or more. Now, according to the NTSB, between 2009 and 2024, a total of 207 people have been seriously injured. That includes 40 passengers, but by far the vast majority of those injured are flight attendants. Bottom line,
166 crew members.
They're going to have some bumpy air, but there is another phenomenon called clear air turbulence. It is much more difficult to predict, and that is why passengers are always told to keep a seatbelt on, even.
So that's crazy. There's a lot of
don't keep their seatbelt
accidents happening.
They about to get paid.
Yeah.
I'm glad they ain't nothing happened to nobody. I mean, you know, they didn't. We're unalive.
Yeah, I'm happy about that too. But this why I be scared to go on a plane, because lately it been mad plane. I feel like I always hear about the news. I be watching true crime stories and all this stuff or whatever. So if I don't watch the news directly, I'll see a clip or on YouTube or something. I'll find out about all this stuff. And I believe that I've never seen this much. These accidents, car crashes, airplanes, shootings, all this is happening at an alarming rate. To me, it looks like we've had internet for the past whatever, and before that we had TV. So I just use the internet for everything. That's how I watch TV. That whatever. But when I had cable, I was watching TV to see the stuff, and it wasn't. And I still had the internet for a while, even though I was using cable as well. So I would still see stuff online or whatever, and it was not as bad as it, or back to back to back. Like 1 week it's a school pew pew, and then the next week another school got pew pew, and then all these these airplane crashes like back to back, a week apart in the same month. There always was a lot of car crashes. People getting in car crashes like every day. But it's like the shooting, and people say the crime rate went down. And I also think sometimes they don't be reporting this stuff, because there's a lot of people missing. I keep seeing people posting about different people missing. Like certain people will post on one of the pages like, please. They shared it from somebody else's page. This girl been missing for 22 hours. It's not being aired on the news. And then it's like hundreds of different women and children or men, they're just disappearing, and then you're seeing it on social media, and these are relatives of the people that posted it first.
Yeah, I seen somebody just got thrown into a van right off the street, and it was on camera, and they drove off. I don't know if it was fake or what, but that was crazy.
And why would you not cover this stuff if this is happening?
Because they don't know. People are finding stuff on social media because instead of people calling the police when stuff happens, they just let it become a viral moment.
No, but I was speaking specifically in that part about the missing. If somebody got shot or something, I think you should. I don't know, because I can't say that, because I done heard gunshots and I didn't know who it was or whatever, but I just heard it, but I ain't called 911, so I'm not going to say. But if you want to do it, there's nothing wrong with calling. You're a civilian and you're scared and you want to make sure somebody's safe. But I'm talking about the people missing. They obviously reported that if they're missing. So if you reported that, then the media got it some way, or are the cops keeping it from you? Because sometimes they will be like, oh, don't put this on the news because whatever reason they say. So it's like, why y'all not reporting these missing people? Why I gotta see it on social media? And why are so many people missing all of a sudden? And yeah, sex trafficking is a thing, that be happening, it's in certain areas, but it can happen anywhere. It's predominantly in certain areas, but it can happen anywhere. I don't know, you just gotta keep your head on the swivel. Be safe, but stay dangerous. Because I thought that was funny when I first heard it, but I get it, because you gotta be dangerous. So you might have to be to protect yourself. You might have to unalive somebody if it's your life or theirs. And most people don't end up in that situation, but I'm saying it could be a possibility. So sometimes you might have to stay dangerous. So you can't be too. I take that to me also. You can't be too naive. You gotta be aware of your surroundings and don't think everybody's for you because some people is against you, and you gotta recognize that. That's a key point to life. Like, you don't want nobody around you that's wishing bad on you and stuff like that. You only want people that's gonna uplift you and they more happy about your shit that's happening good for you than you are, like, or whatever. Like, and they more upset when something go bad about it than you are. I mean, it don't have to be, but I feel like I'll be like that. Like, if something happen, be like, I'll be more. Sometimes people tell me something, like my friends are feeling something, I'll be like, I feel like it happened to me because that's how much I care about them or whatever. So, like, you want people around you like that, or at least they want to see you doing well, regardless of how they express it. Some people are not as expressive, so it may look like they're not, and some people, but it may not be like they may be happy, but maybe they going through something where they can't show it right now, and they don't want to. They are happy for you, but they also got a lot on their mind about whatever situation they in. So, you know, just I don't know. Things is getting crazy these days.
Now, what about this black woman on the run? We're still in. She's on a run in Jamaica after selling more than $34 million of PPP loans, submitted over 90 applications.
When did that happen?
Oh no, let me look at the thing.
You know what? I remember this boy made a song about it. He recorded it. He made a video and everything about him scamming the government. How he got a PPP loan, and he made a music video like, but he didn't have a PPP loan is for people that already. I don't know what it stands for, but it was supposed to be for people that already have businesses to help them keep their businesses going during the pandemic. If they're not, if people can't